Okay, good evening everyone. Can you hear me all right, please? Good evening everyone, and welcome to the first meeting of 2020. We're a little bit thin on the ground, but I'm not sure who's coming from the Bedworth area. It took me nearly 3/4 of an hour to get here this afternoon. It's a bit of a nightmare. So, anyway. Yeah, and Councillor Rudkin, she's rang me. Okay, item number 1 is the evacuation procedure. I'll look at you because you'll be the only one that doesn't know it. We're not expecting any fire alarms to go off, so if they go off, we'll treat it for real. If we can leave the chamber by these doors on the side, down the stairs, and meet across the road by the Yorkshire Bank. Hopefully it won't happen because it's pretty wet and horrible out there. It's also a good time to remind people to turn their phones off or put them on silent, and to let people know that the meeting is being recorded by the council to be put out on YouTube within the next couple of days. Item number 2 is apologies. Wendy, we've had apologies from...
Apologies from Councillor Graham with the substitute of Councillor Troman.
Yep.
And we've received apologies from Councillor Shepherd.
Yep. And if I can put apologies in for lateness for Councillor Rudkin, she's rang me to say she's stuck in that traffic I've just mentioned. I came down earlier. Item number 3 is to confirm the minutes of the meeting on the 10th of December. You happy that I sign those?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Lost a quarter. Thank you. Item number 4, to receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary and other interest in accordance with the Members' Code of Conduct, if it's not already printed on the agenda. That's good, thank you. Item number 5 are declarations of contact. I believe all members of the committee have had copies of information that's been sent in by the applicant via the officers. Yeah? Okay, so if we can note that, please. So item number 6 takes us on to our only application of the evening. We were expecting more, actually, and then they've dropped back for some reason, hence the opportunity to do that bit of training after this one. Okay then, so Claire, if I can ask you to introduce this item.
This application is for a single-storey, one-bed dwelling to the side of number 20 Amos Avenue, Nuneaton. Objections have been received as detailed on the agenda, raising issues such as increased parking problems and implications for highway safety. In terms of the principle of development, the proposed site is garden land. The NPPF does not consider garden land to now be previously developed land. However, the lack of a brownfield designation simply means that a previous presumption in favour of development on such sites does now not exist. However, there is still a presumption in favour of sustainable development as outlined in the NPPF. Officers consider that the site is in a sustainable location and close to services and public transport facilities. In relation to the impact on number 22 Amos, which is at the back here, the proposed dwelling has a primary bedroom window which would face out that way at ground floor level. That would face directly towards number 22's front garden at a distance of about 5 metres. However, the front garden is not private amenity space and the window is at ground floor level, and therefore there are no implications for overlooking. Furthermore, the existing garage, which is shown there, which belongs to number 22, obstructs any potential overlooking into the front garden. In terms of the impact of numbers 13 and 15, which are located to the side of the application site, these properties are on the other side of the road from the application site and would face the side of the proposed dwelling. This elevation here, which is proposed, has no primary windows but an obscure glazed bathroom window and a secondary lounge window. Number 13 has a single-storey extension to the front, which is not protected, and distance standards are met in relation to number 15. In terms of parking provision, 2 off-street car parking spaces are proposed for the dwelling, together with the existing dwelling. County Highways have no objection, subject to conditions. In relation to the impact on visual amenity, the design of the new dwelling is not considered appropriate and would be overly prominent in the street scene. The proposed dwelling would have a hipped roof, as shown there and there, which is not in keeping with the pitched roof of the existing main house and therefore would appear out of character. The existing dwellings in the area are set well back from the highway, as shown in the photographs on the screen. In contrast, the proposed dwelling would be set closer to the highway and will, at the southwest corner, so in this location here, be approximately half a metre away from the highway. The site is also at a higher level than the road and those properties to the west, and therefore, due to its elevated position, the dwelling would be over-prominent on this corner and appear intrusive, over-prominent and incongruous in the street scene. There are some detached garages to the front of numbers 19, 22 and 24, and they're sited to the rear of the application site. You can just see that garage there at number 19. However, this context is slightly different in that these are located at the end of the cul-de-sac and a distance from the highway and do not appear as over-prominent as the proposed single-storey dwelling would. The recommendation is therefore refusal due to the design and position of the proposed dwelling being out of character and over-prominent to the detriment of the visual amenity of the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. First of all, can I apologise, Mr Nashi Puddy, if I've said that right. I apologise for that as well. But I did forget to outline the procedures that we do. And so we've already started, but the officer presents the report and then anybody that's going to speak, as yourself, gets to 3 minutes to speak. I do stop you after 3 minutes, to be fair, if there was other people here. However, members of the committee can ask for for you to clarify anything from what you've already said, and then the committee discuss the application and hopefully reach a decision today. They don't always. Sometimes they ask for site visits or for more information, but normally they make the decision on the day. I'm sorry, I should have told you that at the start of the meeting and it went over my head. Probably because I've had my hair cut today. Right, so Mr Nashipudi, if you press the big button, yeah.
Respected Chair, Vice Chair and respected all other committee members, I have already emailed some of the important points and photos to Louise Pinfold, and she has already forwarded them to the committee members on 10th of January and I think today morning as well. Planning officer did approve our proposal on 27/11/2019 after resolving main issues and redesigning the plans. But later he emailed saying that he's recommending this scheme for approval, but backed out very last minute. Planning officer never asked my agent to alter the extension roof design. Highway authorities have no objections about this scheme. My design for single-story extension respects to neighborhood. We have allowed for a setback to all sides, and the height of the extension is standard height. Initially, we had asked for two-story extension. Later on, we reduced it to a single story, which has reduced to nearly 60% of the in size reduction. We have even allowed for reasonable margin all the way around for landscaping, and the extension has its own private garden. Plenty of space for off-road parking on my driveway, nearly about 5 to 6 cars. It is like any normal single-story extension, and it won't be out of character. If we need to change anything to its design, we can do it if council permits. Recently, a pub has been converted into flats, and also they have built 3 to 4 new 3-story houses by using substantial part of pub garden within Amos Avenue. Within last few months, my neighbors have built a detached garage on their driveway, which can be viewed from main road. Few years ago, within Amos Avenue, council has given permission to build 2 detached bungalows and 2 detached houses. Amos Avenue has all kinds of houses like bungalows, detached, semi-detached, terraced, flats, 3-story houses. By looking at all these, I don't consider my single-story extension will be out of character. Having said this, I am happy to redesign the plans to meet the council demands, and I will make sure not to create any nuisance to neighbors or during construction, and willing to cooperate to resolve their objections. I'm happy to cooperate with the council and neighbors if they have any issues regarding the design, parking, or anything regarding this scheme. Even the council want to put the double yellow lines around my property. I'm happy to fully contribute the price towards it. And regarding one of the objections was that regarding the trees, and in this process there won't be any tree affected, will be affected in the construction. Thank you, Chair, and for allowing me to speak.
Okay, thank you. If you just press that button again, that will knock it off. Application? No. Anything to come back on, Claire? In that case, can I, to enable debate to take place, move the recommendation, which is to refuse planning permissions for the reasons as printed? Is that seconded? No? Okay. Any member? Councillor Tromans.
Thank you, Chair. Claire, can you help us out? It's been referred.
Sorry, could you put your microphone on, please?
Break, isn't it? Claire, can you help us out? It's been referred to as a dwelling, and the applicant's now saying it's an extension. Is it a separate house? Is it a separate?
The application is for a single-storey, 1-bed dwelling. Separate.
Right. So there's all sorts of issues about it will be its own title, it will have to have its own access, and things like that. Okay. How do we make sure that happens? Why wouldn't you do it as an extension? Have you been through that with the applicant? Have you queried why they've asked for it to be a separate dwelling? Has that come up in the conversations at all?
The background as to why the application has come in its current form, or why it's a dwelling, or why it's an extension. But what they are applying for is not an extension, it is a separate dwelling attached to the house.
Thanks for making that clear. Thank you.
Councillor Sargent.
The paperwork's quite small. Can you tell us what the dimensions of the actual living rooms are? So it looks like a lounge sort of kitchen and a bedroom, but I can't see it.
Yeah, it's a lounge.
Claire, can you put your mic on, please? Sorry, it's all right, just said it.
It's a lounge kitchen towards the front, and then the bedroom at the back with a bathroom in between. Yeah, I'll have to zoom into the other plans. Let me just. Yeah, it's just over 4 metres wide across that way, and then runs 9 metres down all the way along the side. Just bear with me. Let me just double check that's 9. Yeah, 9 metres along there, and then returns in back into the existing house. So 9 by 4.
Councillor Llewellyn-Nash.
I'd never, but looking at the plans on here, could you confirm to me that looking at the outside, it looks like one property, but when you look at the plans, there's flat 1 and flat 2. So is this going to be a multi-occupancy dwelling rather than we're not just looking at an ordinary house that is wanting extensions, etc., but two separate entities that want...
Yeah, I think Claire's already said
Has
it's a separate unit. It's attached to the property, but it's a separate unit to the existing property. Yeah?
Yeah. So
Right.
This outline here is the existing property, which has upstairs and downstairs, which is one dwelling.
Yeah.
And then the new proposed dwelling is attached to that property, but is a separate dwelling in its own right.
It's just that it's called...
And that's what we're...
It's called flat on the plans. I don't know why.
And that-
Sorry, I don't know why that...
Oh,
is,
okay,
but-
that's what confused me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right, let's be absolutely clear on it. It's not 2 flats. It's just unusual that it's called flat 2. Is that correct? Yeah, right. Right, we're clear on that then. Councillor Wilson.
I completely agree with the recommendation. To me, it looks as if it's over-intensive development on that plot of land. Can I just ask a question of the officers? Not that I think the committee would be minded to, bearing in mind the limited debate, but if the committee were to give consent, would permitted development rights still apply to this? Because this is going to be a separate entity, so would this separate entity have permitted development?
Unless a condition was added,
That's where I'm...
took those rights away.
That's what I'm getting at, Chair, that even if we refuse it, I think it might be worth noting on the file, in case this were to go to appeal, that the committee would be minded to have revoked the permitted development rights, because I could see further creeping out, or indeed up, which would give me great cause for concern, because even though I know we can't refuse it on highways grounds, but I still have a reservation about highways because of the height difference. And if you're coming around a corner, you might not be supposed to be going at speed, but we all know people do go at speed, and that would reduce your visibility splay as well. So I would feel safer if it was to go to appeal that we had said we would revoke permitted development rights, because if it were to get approved, I would have great reservations about that, Chair.
Put to the committee, just in the event, obviously we ain't made a decision yet, but in the event that it did go to appeal, what I heard suggested was another reason for refusal that it's over-intensive, because the reason that we've got is impact on the visual amenity, I think. Would officers be happy if that was a reason to be added, or... Yeah, okay. And the other thing would be to remove the permitted development rights in the event that it did gain a permission. I think everybody's nodding with that. Would anybody be opposed to that? No, okay. Right. If there's no other member, the recommendation is to refuse planning permission for the reasons as printed on the agenda, plus the addition of the reason of the over-intensive nature of the proposal, and that the permitted development rights be removed. A note be put on that in case it goes to appeal. Everybody understand that? Yeah. Okay. Right. All those in favour of that recommendation with those additions? That's unanimous. Thank you. The item's refused. Okay. Okay, we have sort of 10 minutes or so. We've scheduled... Well, we hadn't exactly scheduled it for 5:30 because we didn't know how long this was going to take, but if we say 5:30 anyway...